Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into some incredibly sprawling, highly emotional claims made by educator Abhinay Sharma regarding India's examination system. The source material we are looking at today paints a deeply critical picture of how national exams are run, pointing to what it calls an era of unprecedented institutional failure. Okay, let's dive right into this.
To make sense of this massive critique, we've broken the source's arguments down into 5 quick pillars. The paper leak industry, monetizing exam errors, students fighting in the courts, the controversies around media and coaching, and finally, allegations of systemic failure.
This quote right here, it perfectly captures the deep frustration driving the source material. Sharma essentially argues that millions of students, the literal future of the nation, are being treated as lab rats in a failing system that just keeps experimenting with their careers and their lives with absolutely zero accountability.
All right, part 1. The paper leak industry. This is the core issue driving all those recent student protests.
Just think about this number for a second. 89. That's the number of paper leaks over the last 10 years according to the data presented in our source. We're not talking about a couple of isolated slip-ups. This is an allegedly systemic issue affecting over 2.25 crore, 22.5 million candidates. That is a massive chunk of the nation's youth whose hard work has supposedly been compromised.
Sharma points out that things have gotten so incredibly out of hand with agencies like the NTA overseeing NEET and CUET that the government is literally using the Air Force to transport exam papers. I mean, utilizing the military just to move test papers? He argues this extreme measure highlights a complete meltdown of civilian exam bodies. Furthermore, the source claims there is bottom-to-top corruption, pointing out that key accused figures, like Sanjeev Mukhia, remain entirely at large while the students are left to deal with the chaos.
Which brings us to part 2, monetizing exam errors. And this is a fascinating, albeit super troubling, claim.
Based on data presented to the Rajya Sabha, the source notes that the National Testing Agency collected around 500 crore rupees just from examination form fees recently. Now sure, form fees are standard, but the source uses this gigantic figure to set the stage for just how lucrative the exam business actually is, even before we start talking about penalties.
And here is where the claims get really wild. The source alleges that agencies like the SSC charge candidates a non-refundable 100 rupee fee for every single incorrect question they want to challenge. Basically, if the agency makes a mistake on the test, you, the student, have to pay them just to point it out.
Sharma argues this is basically a lucrative business model in disguise. Check out how the number of incorrect questions in SSC mains exams jumped up. In 2023, there were 6 errors. Fast forward to 2024, Paper 1 had 10 errors, and Paper 2 had 12. The argument here is that by carelessly, or perhaps intentionally, bumping up the number of wrong questions, agencies are forcing hundreds of thousands of students to pay that challenge fee, pulling in massive revenue off their own incompetence.
And it's not just one agency doing this either. The financial extraction is happening across the board. The SSC charges escalating fees for application corrections, jumping from 200 to 500 rupees. NEET charges a non-refundable $200 for answer key challenges. And the railways? They allegedly charge a 500 rupee form fee, promising a partial refund that, for a lot of students, gets delayed for years. It's essentially locking up huge amounts of student capital.
Beyond just the fees, Sharma absolutely roasts the declining standard of the exams themselves. Having tough academic questions is one thing, but the source cites some truly bizarre, irrelevant questions popping up. Things like, what is Katrina Kaif's exact height? Or, which month is Valentine's Day? Or, who sang London Through Makta? Seriously? In serious government recruitment exams? The source argues this is a total slap in the face to dedicated aspirants who are literally sleeping at petrol pumps just to afford travel to these exam centers.
Moving on to part 3, students in the courts. So what actually happens when that internal challenge system completely fails?
While students get pushed into these grueling legal battles. This timeline from the source tells quite a story. In December 2023, students filed a petition over a wrong SSC question. By February, they won. The High Court ordered the SSC to award the marks. Case closed, right? Nope. The agency appealed the decision, dragging the whole thing out for years until the Supreme Court ultimately dismissed it simply because too much time had passed. The students won on merit, but they totally lost to the bureaucracy.
And the explainer emphasizes that fighting these systemic errors is ridiculously expensive. You've got students who are already struggling with unemployment, collectively pooling 40 to 50 lakhs just to cover legal fees. Sharma lists several cases, like Shantanu Kumar versus Union of India,
to show how this fundamentally shatters the youth's faith in the judicial process to give them timely justice against powerful agencies.
Part 4. Media and Coaching Controversies. The source doesn't just point fingers at the government, it also takes aim at the mainstream media and the giant coaching industry.
There's an intense cultural clash happening here. Mainstream TV anchors have publicly accused YouTube educators of possessing two-penny knowledge, basically claiming they just spread noise to monetize student outrage. But Sharma fires back hard. He argues that while TV networks are just out there chasing ratings and completely ignoring the youth unemployment crisis, it's the independent online educators providing free or affordable classes who are the only ones left actually amplifying the voices of these desperate students.
But hold on, Sharma doesn't let the traditional coaching industry off the hook either. He cites official CCPA findings of highly deceptive marketing. For instance, institutes falsely claiming top-ranked candidates as their own full-time students when, in reality, those kids only attended a free mock interview. He points to the total collapse of giants like Byju's, which allegedly wiped out the investments of ordinary families, arguing that these centers exploit the deep desperation of the youth with zero accountability.
Finally, Part 5. Systemic Failure Allegations. In this last section, the critique pans way out to look at the whole picture.
Look at this number, 540. The video alleges that up to 540 exam shifts were canceled in 2025 alone due to logistical or technical meltdowns. According to Sharma, this isn't just a random glitch. It represents a profound, undeniable inability to execute basic administrative functions on a national scale.
Furthermore, he argues that basic transparency has completely vanished. The source cites instances where agencies like the SSC allegedly ignored clear orders from the Central Administrative Tribunal. By hiding birth dates on public results, the agency supposedly allowed overaged candidates to clear exams totally undetected. It just destroys whatever trust and transparency was left in the system.
And here is where Sharma really connects the dots. He argues that the pure incompetence seen in exam agencies is perfectly mirrored in broader national failures. He points to the Jal Jeevan mission, juxtaposing big promises of water access with severe shortages and protests. He points to healthcare crises under Ayushman Bharat, bringing up horrifying reports of HIV-infected blood transfusions in Satna. He even points to newly inaugurated infrastructure, bridges, highways, airport roofs, literally crumbling shortly after they open. The argument is that the exam crisis isn't an isolated thing. It's a symptom of a much larger systemic rot. So, we want to leave you with this final provocative thought based on our analysis today. India boasts this massive demographic dividend, right? A young, ambitious population meant to drive the nation forward. But if the very institutions designed to uplift and employ them are instead extracting their wealth, wasting their time with bizarre questions, and forcing them into endless legal battles, what does that actually mean for the country's future? Who is truly accountable? It's a highly complex, deeply emotional issue, and we hope this explainer helped you grasp the sheer scale of the allegations being made. Until next time, keep questioning and keep learning.